Hello, right, so I've decided to step out and start doing some more YouTube videos, and I thought I'd just do a little bit of interviewing. I've just appeared on radio with Sarah, lovely Sarah Martin.
Hello.
And she had a little story that is really relatable to the work that I do. So we've just had a little chat and I've just explained how you've actually implemented law of attraction without even realising it.
I know, you've blown my mind with it, I'm not going to lie.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask Sarah just to tell us basically from her perspective of what happened about she had a job and then she chose to leave it, and then what happened afterwards. So, okay, just give us a little insight.
Okay, so I am a singer, musician, performer, actor, whatever it is. If there's a stage or a camera, put me in front of it. That's what I love to do and that's what I want to do as a career. Ever since I was 17, I had a shoe shop job and would go every weekend and sell shoes, and it was the only little bit of regular income that I've ever had, because being a performer and a singer, work comes in freelance, work gets cancelled very easily, it's all over the place. One minute you have work, then the next minute you've got nothing, and working in a shoe shop was the one little bit of steady income that I had. Even though there were so many opportunities that I had to miss because shifts would come up that I couldn't get out of. No one would want to swap shifts with me, and it would get in the way because I'd be contracted to these hours, so it would stop me from taking holidays, going home to see my family.
How many hours was it?
4. So literally not even worth.
But the reason you did it was because...
The reason I did it was because I was just, I guess, scared to not have that backup.
Yeah.
I always kind of had this in my mind where, if ever work's quiet, I'll call up my boss and I'll take on more hours, and I'll always have at least some money coming in. It was like a security blanket, and I never did call up my boss really and ask for more hours, because my other time I was working really hard to make sure that the performing and the vocal coaching and that other work that I do, I always made sure it was coming in. But in my head I just had this, it was this panic that if I left the shoe shop job, I might not be able to function, and I was hardly making any money off it because I was hardly working there. I was too busy to take on more hours, but it was just didn't want to leave that little security blanket.
Okay, and what made you actually make the final decision?
In the end, I just kind of decided, I had so much going on, and I'd gotten to a place where I'd worked really hard, built up a lot of vocal coaching work, built up a lot of performing work, and it was getting to the point where having the shoe shop job was meaning that I wasn't having a day off.
Yeah.
And even though I loved the girls that I worked with there, the job itself was just, I really didn't enjoy doing it, and I would leave a shift kind of feeling a bit deflated, and I just kind of realised I kind of started to just believe that I'm hard working enough that I'll always be fine. And I'm really lucky that I come from a really supportive family, so if I ever was in trouble, I know I would be helped out. But it was just I started to realise that a day off on a Sunday was more valuable than the £120 a month that I was actually making.
It's important to recharge, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I decided that even though it was really scary to do, I was going to leave the shoe shop job, free up a day for myself. So I did.
And you did.
And since then, I've not really looked back. Thank God I did leave, because I ended up the week after my last shift, I had an audition for a band, a vocal harmony group that I ended up getting the job for. So that has kept me mega busy. I've already got gigs in the diary from that.
What's the name of the band?
Satin Dolls.
Exciting.
So 1940s vocal harmony, which is right up my street. Absolutely just dream come true to be in a group like that. And that happened the week after my last shift, so it was it was
amazing.
And
things sort of progressed from there.
Yeah, so now I get my day off on a Sunday. Me and my boyfriend go and do nice fun stuff. We played mini golf at the weekend, and I went to go and see my parents in Nottingham the weekend before that.
Fab.
And but I'm the rest of the week, Monday to Saturday, I'm full,
so
and
then
still the work's coming
found that
in.
balance. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, right. So I'm just giving you a little spin on this from the perspective of mindset work and law of attraction. So basically what actually started to happen is that Sarah started to put her faith in herself rather than faith in the 4 hours a week job that she felt she needed. Now there's something called law of vacuum, which I explained to you, didn't I? So it's a law of the universe. You've got those great laws of the universe, and there's a law of vacuum. And basically, sometimes we have something that's a block in our lives, and we know it's a block, but we're so conditioned into keeping it because we might be scared of what might happen if we leave it. We might not trust it. We might just be so familiar we don't even realise it's such a big part of our world. And when you make that break, when you choose to remove that block, what you're actually doing, it's almost like getting a hoover out and hoovering up something that's not really benefiting you, which it wasn't really.
No.
And making space for something else. Now the important thing is, when you have faith that things are going to be okay, technically they are, you've just got to get in harmony with them, and you have faith that things are going to be okay, you make that break even though you're scared, but that fear is invisible. That's just what we feel inside of us, right? But when we make space for something, then actually the good stuff starts to happen, because it's like taking the lid off a bottle and things can start to flow. And as Sarah removed that job that really wasn't making her happy, but she still did it, the real stuff that she really, really loves started to flow, to come through. So with that, this audition came up, and I'm just going to mention how that audition happened.
Oh yeah,
because this is fascinating as well.
So basically, there was a girl in the year below me at university who I kind of knew, would never really spoken or met properly, but I knew her because she was around at uni, and there was just something about her. She was doing all of these gigs, the 1940s jazz stuff, and she would always post pictures of her performing all the time. I was like, how is she gigging so often? And she was always dressed in like these beautiful vintage clothes. She always had her hair all beautiful. She always looked so glam, and she was just performing at all these amazing shows. So I started following her because I like kind of looked up to her a little bit, and realised that she was part of the group The Satin Dolls. So I decided, I'm really interested in The Satin Dolls. So this was about 18 months ago that I started following her and looking into all of this. So I started following The Satin Dolls, and I was like, I'll see if an audition ever comes up, and I'll go for it. And anyway, never saw them post anything about it. And then it must have been about a month ago now, she actually messaged me and said, "Hi Sarah, I know that we don't really know each other, but I'm in this group called The Satin Dolls, and I think you'd be really good for it." Like, she'd kind of seen some of the other performance stuff that I'd done just through social media, and she was like, "Yeah, I know I don't really know you, but just to let you know, there's this audition coming up. I think you should go for it." And I was like, "Oh my god, I've been waiting for this audition to come up. Thank you." And then she was amazing. She helped me through it. She sent me lots of prep work, gave me some tips, and I ended up getting the gig. And
amazing.
So I can't thank her enough, really. But it was just really weird how I had never even spoken to her.
Okay, that's brilliant. So there's another example. So as we were talking, I was explaining to Sarah, sometimes when you really focus on something, and this could be positive or negative, so the choice is yours, but when you really put that thought out there of something you really want to do and your passion comes up and you really focus on it, that's when the magic starts to happen. And what you're doing, you're aligning with what it is that you actually really, really want, okay? And for example, I met Sarah, just happened to meet Sarah, we got talking, and she just happened to have a radio show, and I just happened to be putting it out there daily that I want to be on the radio.
Yeah, it was actually you. I think you said to me like, "Oh, I really see myself like in front of a camera, in front of a microphone. I want to go and like spread my message and like through radio and TV." And then that's when I said to you, "Oh,
definitely.
Well, I have a radio show."
Absolutely.
You know,
so we are both an example of law of attraction in action. Okay. So my message is this: whatever it is that you really, really, really want, you can have whatever it is that you really, really want. All it is about putting it out there and thinking it into existence. And if there are things happening in your world at the moment that you don't like why does this keep happening to me? That's always going to happen. It's because you're almost affirming that it's coming into your existence. You're deciding that that's going to happen. And for every one thing that happens, there is an opposite. So if we're on the downside, you can actually turn things around and really start to uplift, and you never know what's going to happen. And when you remove any block, even if it's the thought process or something physical like your job, the magic will start to happen. But the secret is this: it's none of our business when it's going to happen, because we always get impatient, we get frustrated, and suddenly things will start to move, but only when it's time, okay? And we just have to keep the faith and have the trust. So there we go.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Yeah, that
Okay,
was so
all right, brilliant. Okay, so we're going to be having more of these interviews as we go along. I think I'm going to do this every time I meet somebody. I'm going to have a little chat and an interview. So I'm Lisa Hawkyard, the mother of all coaches, and I'm here to empower your mindset to empower you. If you want to get hold of me, you can find me at www.lisahawkyard.com. And if you want to know more about Sarah,
you can follow me on Instagram at Sarah Martin Vocals and on Twitter at Sarah Martin Vox. So Sarah Martin VOX.
excellent. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. This lady's
All right.
amazing.
Aw.
You have to follow her. Like
This one. Mutual appreciation. All right, have an amazing day. Thanks for watching. Bye.